Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about Doom the Dark Ages. This is Does It Suck? The show where we take a deep dive look at a new game and see what's good or bad about it. Now, people who have been watching for a bit know that I've been incredibly excited for Doom the Dark Ages because I'm a big Doom fanatic. In fact, as a birthday gift for myself, I even bought the special edition Dark Ages controller and stuff. So I stayed up all last night just beating the game, trying to do side objectives, getting upgrades, testing stuff out. And I gotta say that Doom the Dark Ages is incredibly good, but I feel like it's almost too ambitious. It's trying too hard to be everything at once. Too many different flavors, too much different stuff, all crammed into one singular adventure. And I feel like I've noticed a lot of negativity online. Some review scores a bit lower than others. And I think this is kind of interesting because technically this is now the lowest rated of the Doom trilogy. But even beyond that, when you're playing this game, it is undeniably still so damn fun. Like when you're out there ripping and tearing, trying to parry a blow, you're actually pushing back demonic projectiles, going into the depths of hell with a super shotgun or a rocket launcher and just jumping around, blasting stuff. This is still incredibly fun. In fact, I want to say right up front, I think this is actually the most fun combat of the entire trilogy, and that's insane to say because I loved Doom 2016. I loved Doom Eternal. This might be the most fun, just visceral, gory chaos. But the problem is that when you don't have something to kill, when you don't have that next big objective in front of you, Doom the Dark Ages does have stuff that to me feels kind of boring. Stuff that honestly feels kind of pointless. It feels like they're trying to be, well, here in Texas we have a term, too big for your britches, where you're attempting some concepts that are inventive, but I'm not sure they're exciting. Let's break it down. I want to talk about the goods and the bads. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I'm just going to say right up front, parts of this video are going to sound incredibly negative, but I want to just say that even when it sounds like I'm hating on this game, it's almost because I appreciate the fact that it is almost too ambitious. It feels like it's trying too much, but I almost appreciate a game that isn't playing it safe. Even the parts that fail, I kind of appreciate the fact that it's not just Doom Eternal 2. This game feels very systematically incredibly different, but let's start with a lot of the stuff that I do find to be a systematic failing. First and foremost, the story in this game sucks. Now, if you're playing a Doom game for the story, they're usually pretty bare bones, and I think that's to its strength. I feel like when Doom is best is when they're just saying, hey, here's a bunch of baddies, here's a completely stacked against you odds crazy situation, you have to kill your way out. That's when Doom is the best. I almost feel like having optional dialogue, optional audio messages, optional stuff that you can engage with to better appreciate the good world they're building, that works. But the problem is that Doom Doom the Dark Ages has a lot of cutscenes, a lot of humans standing around talking about, oh no, the forces of hell, here's their 55-point plan. I don't care about that. Or at one point I saw a meeting of demons talking about how dangerous the Slayer is. I don't like that kind of stuff. I'm very much a movie buff, and I've always been a big believer in show, don't tell. Instead of saying, oh, he's such a badass, just show me being him a badass. Especially because when you're out there actually decimating the demonic hordes, it's very apparent how dangerous and awesome the Slayer is. I don't need a cutscene of the demons being afraid. Show me the fear in their eyes while I'm revving up my chainsaw shield, you know? Okay, but I feel like the other part of this game is that when you're out there actually fighting, when you're actually out there just trying to figure out that next big boss fight, or trying to figure out the timing on a big parry, or struggling to switch weapons because you're constantly running out of ammo before you get to that next big armored beastie and stuff like that, what works good about these games is when you're locked into a room. I do feel like the best moments of Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are the arena fights, when it's like 100 dudes and you have to try to figure out how to tactically get around, how you can take the least amount of damage, how many times can you do a glory kill to finish somebody off to get a big boost of ammo, health, armor. I like those moments a lot. And I do feel like Doom the Dark Ages, it has the best flow because of all the verticality of it. When you get out your shield, you can now do a shield dash. Now, there's a lot of different styles of weapon and ammo in this. There's actually punch ammo. You can only punch so much, dash so much, block so much, and of course shoot so much, which sounds like it would be annoying. One of the things people didn't like about Doom Eternal is that they definitely incentivized constant weapon swapping. They made it so you were perpetually always about to run out. And it made it where different enemies had different weaknesses. So you did have to be encouraged to keep swapping stuff out. Here in Doom the Dark Ages, they give you ammo for everything. You really can have a favorite weapon. And even if you do run out of ammo here and there, I feel like the game does a great job of making it where you want to be good at aiming. You don't want to miss your shots. But I also like the fact that whenever you rip out the next enemy's guts and it just spews out a ton of weapons, ammos, and stuff like that, I like the fact that everything about this feels rewarding, and I like the fact that I can just stick with one weapon. One of my favorite weapons that I was completely obsessed with is the Shredder. There's a weapon that just runs on demon skulls, and it sprays out just fragments at an incredible pace. It does a lot of damage, and I like the fact that I didn't have to keep switching. I like Doom Eternal, but it did suck when my favorite weapon kept running dry over and over and over again. And yeah, maybe it encouraged me to be more versatile. You had to actually be good at the game and not just good with a particular weapon. I appreciate the mechanic, but I like the fact that in Doom the Dark Ages, you can have a favorite weapon, and that feels more allowed. There's also these weapon upgrades. Now, the entire Doom trilogy has had weapon upgrades. Here, there is a shop. This brings me to my biggest criticism to the game, which is the maps feel too big because they want you to explore. By going around, you can find gold, which is how you upgrade your weapons. You can find optional mini-bosses that by killing them give you permanent upgrades to your maximum health, ammo, and armor. But I almost feel like I don't want exploration in a Doom game. Like, maybe I don't want it to be completely linear. I do feel like if my options are big open maps or linear, I prefer a tight corridor style experience where I'm always channeled into that next fight. There were a lot of moments in this game where I found myself just opening the map and kind of looking around and saying, okay, how can I just get to the next objective with maybe hitting one side guy to get one upgrade in the process. But I do feel like there were actually two separate parts of this game where I got lost, where I actually had to open the map because I could not figure out what the hell it wanted me to do. There was just so many different directions to go, so many upper areas and lower floors and winding paths. And I don't even think it's necessarily the worst thing, but it very much does kill the pacing. Like, when Doom is best, especially the Dark Ages, it's when you're kind of flooded, when you're barely keeping your head above water. Now, I do want to be clear, only certain sections on Earth are those big open areas. It does feel like, especially as you start to go into hell and stuff like that, a lot of especially like 2/3 through the game, it really hits this smooth flow again where they're not trying to just constantly be like, oh, close 5 hell gates. I hated every time they'd say, close X amount of gates. I do not like it. It felt incredibly repetitive. And I also don't like the fact that they're like, oh, here's just a bunch of beacons on your map. I feel like you could have conveyed the same amount of chaos, the same amount of fun, the same amount of excitement with 1/3 of the objectives. A lot of times, stuff in here did feel a bit fillery, and I didn't like that. Oh man. Okay, so there's also puzzles. The puzzles have no combat. There are areas of the game where you have to like throw your shield. Your shield can be used to power up generators. Your shield can also let you teleport. So you basically have like this grapple shield mechanic. I do not care about this kind of stuff. Look, man, I am here to rip and tear. The motto of this game is stand and fight. And when I'm out here playing Blue's Clues with freaking boxes and hell, I don't care about this kind of stuff. And like this kind of stuff, whenever I have like a really long 20-minute drag out insane fight, stuff where I'm trying to perfectly parry and dodge, I'm deflecting back blows and literally hand sawing off every piece of armor on a big beastie, and it's so intense. And then I go through a portal and it's like, oh man, I gotta find that next big box. It is such a pace killer for me, and it does kind of baffle me, but let's talk about the big fights. Oh man. So I'm of two minds about this, which is that it looks cool, but man, is it incredibly boring. There is dragon riding in this, and there's also where you become like a big kaiju mech. You get in this giant mech and you fight 50-story tall demons and stuff. But the problem is that when you're actually doing it, you dodge to power up your blow, and then you do a super attack. And that's it. That's how every single fight of the dragon works. That's how every single fight of the big mech works. Even when you actually get mech guns and stuff, whenever you start getting those, how does it work? Dodge and shoot, dodge and hit, dodge and punch. Every single time it is the exact same mechanic. And I guess you could say, oh, that's how it works when you're on foot as well, but it's not. When I'm on foot, I've got multiple weapon wheels. I've got cooldowns to my melee. I've got a charge dash. I've got an ability to deflect. I have a series of options that feel better than just, hey, dodge and shoot. I feel like this game, I feel like for all of its faults, I kind of appreciate the fact that it is, in a lot of ways, trying too hard. I feel like so many games now are just trying to be the safest, boringest, stalest product. This game's director, I believe, or was it the producer, is Hugo Martin. I've had a chance to actually talk to him, actually. He's a very nice guy. He watches the videos. Hugo, if you see this, sorry if I sound so negative, buddy. You are a very nice guy. I think this feels very much like a brainchild of classic id, where there is an old quote from Stephen King I like where he says, write your book for an audience of one. I feel like Hugo Martin made the game that he wanted to play. And while it's rough around the edges at parts, I kind of appreciate the fact that this game, even when I'm not completely vibing with it, I'm super engaged in the journey. Yeah, the story sucks. Yeah, the characters are dumb. Yeah, the plot I do not give a crap about. Yeah, the fifth time I have a big morale fight. There's this weird new system called morale where there's certain boss fights where you have to kill like 100 of the minions before you can kill the boss. Yeah, some of that stuff feels a little bit clunky and weird and the pacing is off. But at the same time, it's so damn fun. I kind of like the rough edges. Even if they suck, it almost makes it a more complete product. You gotta have your salad to enjoy the steak. Overall, I really, really, really like Doom the Dark Ages, and I almost respect the weirdness of it. It's not going to be for everybody, but if you've already beat Doom 2016 and you beat Doom Eternal, I think you're absolutely going to love this game. Is it going to win Game of the Year? Hell no. But when it comes to just raw combat, I think this may be some of the most fun FPS that I've seen in a very long time. Okay, so we've heard some bad and some good, but let's go over to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Doom the Dark Ages an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. Obviously, I'm holding up a green controller on a green screen, so it probably doesn't show up, but I think this thing is so funny. It has little spikes up here that are actually kind of pointy. This is a really badass controller, but I gotta say, the thing that I think is the coolest besides just the blood splatter, sorry I'm being such a geek about this, I love the fact that instead of having your typical buttons, it's got like the runes. This to me, it feels nerdy. Like it feels like that classic, I'm not trying to be popular, I'm trying to just have fun kind of vibe. I don't know. Doom the Dark Ages, it won me over. I expected it to be good. It's a clunky mess at times. I still really appreciate how weird it is.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.